welcome everyone to another Conversations in the Void. I'm your host, Graveyard, joined as always with my off-screen producer, Salem. Make sure to say hi to Salem in the chat. And yeah, I'm pleased to introduce our guest for tonight. I've been watching his shows for a while now, but he is a host, podcaster, actor, writer, director of works including Dawn and the Dead, The Clock, and of course, indie horror junkie. Please welcome to the show, Rick Danford.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Doing well. Happy to be.
Apparently Twitch not like my title for this episode. So it's like, no, we won't go live on there. I'm like, oh, okay. They like the word junkie in it, I think. I don't know.
Boy. Can't give them their fix?
No. I'm like, well, of all the things people do on Twitch, I think junkie is probably the safest thing.
Yeah.
So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. We just finished up our podcast and jumped right here into yours.
Yes. You had the awesome Elaine Dietz on, and it's just amazing show.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. But Rick, before we get in kind of the meat and potatoes of the show, I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. What was really the first horror movie for you?
Oh boy. I almost hate to answer this question because it's going to kind of date me. But one of the first horror movies I ever saw, and I can't remember if it was anywhere. Obviously, it couldn't have been when it came out because I wasn't born then. But I remember my dad taking me to the theater with a friend of his to see Night of the Living Dead.
Ooh.
And I was so small, I only have like vague images of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it shocked me. So it was like, wow. But I mean, it helped me, the bug bit me there. I loved horror. I loved that feeling, that adrenaline rush, And that's kind of how it started.
Oh yeah, Night of the Living Dead it's a great movie, but it's also every IT guy's go-to for downloading large files because it's public domain, and we can just test it all we want for testing.
So true.
Yeah, for me, Jaws was my first one. Now, I didn't see it in theaters either, but doing the show, I've had the honor of talking to Carl Gottlieb himself about Jaws, and it was absolutely amazing.
Oh, I'm a huge Jaws fan. If you ever scour my Facebook page, you'll see pictures of my bathroom. It's basically a Jaws museum. I went to the shark convention over here. I think it was called Shark Con. I got to meet Joe Alves. I bought his book. A good friend of mine is James Michael Roddy. He actually directed a documentary called The Shark Is Not Working. That's included on the Blu-ray for Jaws. And he's putting out a book called Shark Tales that's coming out. That's going to be telling stories that took place during the filming of Jaws. And I actually have a short story in there called The Devil Comes to Amity.
Ooh, I'm intrigued because I have the first two. I have Carl's book he wrote in Jaws 1, and then Michael Smith, I believe, wrote the second book on Jaws. So I'm excited. 50th anniversary of Jaws this year and everything. That's
possibly my favorite movie of all time.
Of all time, yeah, it's great. It's the only horror movie that scared me because I was 3 when I saw it. But I live in the Midwest and I was afraid of the ocean.
Oh yeah. Well, I live in Florida, obviously, and we're surrounded by the ocean. But I'll tell you one thing that still to this day boggles my mind. I remember seeing it in the theaters. Now I think I was only like 6 or 7 years old, something like that. And I remember sitting in the darkened theater and getting so scared about what was happening with the shark in the water that I actually lifted my legs off the floor because I couldn't see the floor. So that blackness scared me to where I had to pull my feet up into the chair. So trying to understand that one.
Yeah. I wish I would have gone to the screening they did it where they had it in the pool. They had it at Martha's Vineyard. I
saw that. Yeah, they do that every year, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's 50th, and the boy that's now us now boy now, but he was there. I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. Have you?
The kid who played Alex?
Yeah.
No, I've never had a chance to talk to him, but I did read an interesting story not too long ago about the woman who played his mother in the movie, that she went to some little restaurant and she saw on the menu that they had the Alex Kittner special. So she ordered it, and she told the waitress that she played Alex Kittner's mom in the movie, and the waitress went in back, and it turns out that the guy who plays Alex Kittner, that was his restaurant. He was back there, so he came out and met her, and that was the first time they'd seen each other in years.
Yeah. It's you think it's a big world, but it's really a small world that you have those connections like that. Yep. So, Rick, on horror movies, though, I like to ask people what is their best and least best. So what do you have a kind of an overrated IP or franchise that you just don't understand why it's so popular in the horror world?
Oh boy.
Safe space here.
Yes, as far as a horror franchise goes, I mean, I love Halloween, and I can definitely understand why it's as popular as it is, even though they keep butchering it. Nightmare on Elm Street, same thing. I think just the core, Freddy and everything else. I think that's why it's as popular as it is. I'm trying to think as far as Sharknado. I mean, is that even considered a horror film? I mean, but
right. I mean, if you're bad enough to be on riff tracks live, it's a horror movie.
Okay, but how did they get to 7 of them? I think there's like 7 or 8 of them. I mean, I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's sci-fi for you. They go, hey, this was funny. Let's be cheesy on purpose. And losing the fact what made cheesy 80 movies so good is they weren't purposely trying to be cheesy. It was all aftermath.
Gotcha. Now it makes sense.
Exactly. So, Rick, then what on the flip side, what do you think is kind of the most underrated horror movie?
Underrated. That's a great question. Underrated. Oh my God. Horror movie?
Yeah.
Or like series?
It could be a series too.
Probably underrated. I mean, to me, one of my favorites, I almost call this like a guilty pleasure from when I was a child. And this is probably the one movie that actually scared me was It's Alive. I mean, right now it's like a joke to people, I'm sure, because it was made back in the late 70s, but it bothered the hell out of me. I don't remember exactly what it was that did it, but then they had part 2, It Lives Again, which was even scarier to me because they had the 3 babies and stuff. And now, and like I said, when you think about it now and you watch it now, it's probably ridiculous. But to me back then, that affected me. That really got me. So I think those are underrated because you really don't hear too much about them anymore.
You don't. They kind of. I view them in the same vein as like Basket Case, right?
There you go.
I have the Basket Case movies on Laserdiscs. I collect laser discs, all of them, specifically horror movies. I have the It Lives duology as well on Laserdisc, which was.
Oh, do you have Island of the Alive Part 3?
I don't know if that was on Laserdisc. I'd have to double check.
That's a good point. I don't know if it was either. I can't believe you got Laserdiscs, really? So you're the one? That's so awesome.
Yeah, my co-host and we collect them. I think between the two of us, we probably have nearly 900.
I went to see my daughter who lives in Jacksonville probably a couple of months ago. And on the way there was a yard sale. And I stopped at the yard sale. And even though I don't own a Laserdisc player anymore, but I did way back in the day, a guy had for $1 the Laserdisc of Barbarella. I had to buy it. I just got it sitting in the corner.
Of course, yeah. It's just one of those fascinations I grew up that I didn't really grow up with. I knew people that had it, but I never had one. And then now they're just collector's items. And now just it started with Star Wars, the original trilogy on Laserdisc.
Yep.
And it was at a used shop by me about 10 years ago. And and the player for like $90. Yeah. I go, you know what? Sure. Why not? And now it's even I don't know about down by you, but Days of the Dead here, there's people that have horror Laserdisc at these cons now. These horror.
Oh, I've seen them. Yeah. I see them all the time.
It's amazing that it's becoming such a big thing again, or maybe dosing it more.
And I think that's also going to happen with Blu-ray. Everybody talked about now that streaming's out, Blu-rays are going to be, they're going to go away and this and that. But remember, they said the same thing about the LPs, the albums. And what was it just a couple of years ago that LPs actually outsold CDs? So to me, nostalgia will always keep them around. Plus, also, you have the indie filmmakers. I think the indie horror filmmakers, especially, they thrive on that. That's how they make their living, is those physical media.
Oh yeah, and I try to get every VHS version of the indie stuff too that they come out with. I have Frogman on VHS. I have Ghost and all that as well. So
very cool.
It's great stuff. But Rick, let's get more into you and Indie Horror Junkie. How did that come to be?
That's a great story. Basically, it started really about 2 years ago. And what it was is that I've done several film festivals. And when you do film festivals, you get to meet filmmakers, actors, actresses. You get to hear about all these movies, collect DVDs they give you. They tell you about everything. And like I said, I've always been the guy that likes to try and raise the flag for the indie filmmaker because I know how hard it is to do what they do. So it started out basically as an online zine. or magazine. I created like almost like a newsletter, and I would put it out there to tell people, hey, this movie's coming up. Check out these people here. Go visit their site here, and doing it like that. And it started out that way, and I was giving it away for free and doing it online. And then I decided to go ahead and create a magazine. And then I ended up meeting somebody who had a printer and said, I'll print them for you. So that was the big thing that kept me from wanting to print them, was the printing costs are ridiculous. So I met this printer. We decided to go ahead and print them. Then I met my partner, Amy. And from that part there, we really kind of expanded. So in that 2-year period, we turned from an online magazine that we're printing to an actual print and digital magazine that we're getting ready to come out with, issue 19, a weekly podcast that we just did episode 97 on. We do the film festival, which we do over a MegaCon, which gets me, Amy, and 250,000 of our closest friends. Mm-hmm. And then we have also now our original films. We just did our first original film together called The Clock. That's out on Blu-ray and streaming, and it just got picked up by Roku. And we're getting ready to film another one in November called Reels of the Dead, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, it's blown up in 2 years. It really has.
And that's great. You guys are hitting that juice right. I'm clearly not doing something well. I've been doing this for about the same time frame. This is episode 103-ish for us.
Wow. Nice.
You know, and I never thought I'd be over 100 at this point in time.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I mean, have you thought any big plans for episode 100 coming up here in a couple of weeks?
We do have big plans for episode 100. Basically, episode 100 is going to be, we're going to be interviewing all the people at Scaricon, because we just got picked up by Scaricon to go run the film festival for them. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be September 5th through 7th in Syracuse, New York. So we're going to do like a pre-recorded show and basically just pimp Scaricon as much as we can, the guests that are coming out, the movies that are playing. And then since it's pre-recorded, it'll play, of course, because that's coming on during the time when we'll be basically on a jet plane heading to New York. So that's awesome. You know, we got a table at Days of the Dead last November, mm-hmm. which we had an absolute blast. I shared it with Horror Dads, so it was our show and Horror Dads, and we were invited back. We get press passes to the Days of the Dead now as well, just because of the podcast and the connections I have in the con world. Usually most of my con people are out in California. I'm Chicago, so not that close. Yeah, it's good though. I mean, how do you manage all these projects? You know, because I know I have issues with, because I also write, direct, act on top of everything else. So how do you kind of manage that? Well, I mean, to me, the key to it is that I don't sleep, so I'm able to squeeze all that stuff in, and I basically mean that literally. I sleep very, very short. I mean, short bursts here and there. I figure I'll sleep when I'm dead. You know what I'm saying? Let me get as much content out and as much stuff off my plate as I can before that day happens. But I don't know. I think what it is that when you really love what you do and when you really love creating and doing something like that, it's just you find time. And that's the whole thing, is finding time to do it. So I just find that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you. It is a lot of work. You know, we just did 2 weekends ago a 40-hour film festival that we did. We did a 40-hour film, our second one.
Oh, that's nuts. I've never done one of those.
It's chaotic. I'm driving 3.5 hours into middle of nowhere, Michigan, and on the phone with the writers and telling them the stories as I'm driving up there. And then we have to film it, edit it, and have it all done in 48 hours. And it's a lot of work.
That's insane. I've done, the closest I've done to that is I did a 2-week film challenge. I've done a few of those. Mm-hmm. And we've put together some really cool little short films that won a bunch of awards and stuff and got out. So that was all well and good. But 2 weeks to me was a short turnaround. I can't even imagine 48 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy, but we're going to do it again. There's the Milwaukee has one that's all horror genres or sci-fi genres. And we go, well, we make horror movies. We should probably do that one instead of the potential dance or musical categories that we sometimes get.
Right.
And we're just going, I don't know how anyone does that in 48 hours, makes a musical or a dance movie.
Can't even imagine that. No.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It is all about passion. And it's about finding that work-life balance too. You know,
yeah.
I was at Fairfield County Fort in Connecticut last month. That was, or 2 months ago, 8 days straight in Connecticut. That was a long shoot. Very long nights.
I bet.
But it's really worth it.
Yeah. Like I said, if you have the passion for it and that's what you live for, I mean, then you find time for it. And also it's not like work. You just make it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. But with you writing and directing and acting, do you have a preference between those three, or do you like to do all three in each movie?
No, I don't normally do all three. As a matter of fact, I don't act very much. I got into the business as an actor. My first job was as an extra on a movie called Phantom of the Rich that was filmed here in Tampa that had Deborah von Valkenburg. She was the girl that played in the Warriors. And it kind of started there, but then I got into writing and I really enjoyed writing. But then once I got that taste of directing, which happened during the unfortunate episode of The Web of Darkness, which was something that we don't have enough time to really go into right now. But with that film, I really got, even though everything that could go wrong went wrong twice, by the time that movie was done, I just felt like this is what I want to do. If I could survive this, I can survive anything. This is what I want to do. So I would say if I had to choose, the writing directing would be first. But what's funny about that is that this Reels of the Dead that we're about to do in November, that's an anthology film. And in the anthology film, it's going to star my partner and myself, Amy and I, and we're going to be the main stars of it. So we're writing, directing, producing, and acting in it. And then we want to do a new anthology every year, but we're going to do it kind of like, do you remember that show? What was it? The Horror Hotel. Lady Gaga was in that.
Oh yeah, American Horror Story.
American Horror Story. We're going to do it like that, where each anthology is going to have Amy and I as the stars, but as completely different characters in a completely different setting and a completely different story, but still introducing these horror films. So the first one's going to be called The Theater, and we've got this great theater over here in Port Richey that is actually going to turn 100 years old next year. So we're going to premiere it on their 100th anniversary. So that's just nuts. It's like all the stars just aligned there,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's an amazing project too. I'm kicking off hopefully in the next week or two my Decades of Horror anthology that I want to do, and there's a group of us. There's about 8 of us that I put together, and we're taking a decade of horror. So we're starting in 1920, so we're going to film in that style for each decade and genre style as well. And
that's awesome. That sounds so unique.
Yeah,
you keep me posted on that one.
Yeah, we're doing the 1920s. It's going to be a silent movie. It's going to be in sepia tone, and we're just going to have fun with it. And we're 100 years of doing it, and it's going to be short, but we want to do it in 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 15 minutes max. But then kind of releasing them as seasons. Then even able to compile it into like a movie if we can. We kind of have someone in mind to kind of be the Rod Sterling of this too, because I love Twilight Zone. It's very obvious, and it's just something that I don't think has been done. I've
never heard of anything like that, and that sounds amazing. So every episode for first season 1 is going to be like a 1920s little
30s,
serial,
40s, 1920s and 30s and 40s. We're going to go through the entire 100 years in one season.
Oh, you're going to go through the whole 100 years in one season? Okay, wow! I can't wait to see what you do for the 80s, because the 80s is my jam.
The 80s is going to be a campy slasher, but we also decided that 2020s is going to be the legacy of that.
Oh, wow. That sounds so cool. It really does.
So yeah, we have first couple scripts written and we're ready to start shooting. I'm excited for it. It's something that my co-host and I have been talking about for a while now. I'm like, now I'm able to do it.
Well, I'm excited for it as well, and Indie Horror Junkie will be happy to promote it.
Awesome. And and this is we always say indie support indie as well here. What is it about indie that kind of drives us? We are fascinated with the indie world. Let's face it.
In my opinion, to me, I think what it is, obviously everybody wants to land the big studio job and have the big paycheck and not have to worry about things, because in the studio environment, you have the situation where if something doesn't work or somebody doesn't work or whatever the case is, they'll just throw money at it. They'll bring somebody in. There's one person for every single position on a set. So a director can go there and just work with the DP and the actors. Whereas on an indie set, you're often wearing so many hats. I mean, I've delivered food, I've picked people up from the airport, I have secure the hotels and do all the paperwork and all that stuff. So it's like, I think that to me, to get an indie film and to do it, to write it, direct it, to get it out there and get it on streaming or in Blu-ray or whatever, that's a hell of an achievement, because you wear so many hats and you're in charge of so many things that you wouldn't be as a Hollywood director or whatever it is. And to me, it's that much more of an accomplishment, because you're doing it with limited funding, normally either your own pocket or crowdfunding or something like that. And you're doing it with limited space. And stealing shots sometimes, no permits, this and that, trying to go and, guerrilla this and that if you have to. So to me, to be able to do that and pull that off, my hat's off to anybody that can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I joined Oz part of Split Screen, my first thing with Horror Dads a couple of years ago, and I just went on set and like, hey, you can do this and this. I'm like, yeah, I'll do what we need to do to make the movie made, and that's just the mentality I have every time I go into a set and every project I'm working on. It's because, I may have to hold the boom, I may have to get food, I may have to pick up the talent, I may have to literally for Fayetteville County 4 literally be the costume guy, putting the costume on and off the guy, even though I'm a producer in a horror dad. It's what's needed to get
titles do not matter on an indie set. You do everything. And to me, the big thing is like we did this movie called The Clock. Mm-hmm. And that was our first movie that we put out there. And I was told from a person that first got me saying, hey, you got to stop making shorts. You got to make a feature. And I've got this system in place. Okay. You get basically about $5,000 for your budget. Okay. But you got to keep your character and your cast to about 2 to 3 cast members. Basically, you want to have one location and you want to shoot it in 5 days. That way you can do it for the $5,000. So I said, sounds great. So we'll do it for about that $5,000 or whatever. So I wrote a script that had 32 cast members, 11 locations, but we shot it in 5 days and we got it done under budget. So it worked out well and it's out there and I think it looks really good. But with that said, it's all about prep. One of my favorite lines that I always say on set, joking around with people, is that, oh, don't worry, we'll fix it in post. I love that because everybody laughs thinking like, no, the fuck we're not, but yeah, I even have a little wine glass that I have that says we'll fix it in post, but I have the post scratched out and it says prep. So that was the thing, is that we did so much prep work. So when we hit the set for The Clock, everything was down to the numbers, or else we never would have been able to finish it in that 5 days, because we had everything laid out, blueprinted, and we just went on there and knew exactly what we were doing and when, and that's it. Yeah,
that's a great way to do it, just because it's the scallion. Scallion's a biggest part, I think, is finding the atmosphere, the scenes that you want to shoot. Yes, there are, as you said, guerrilla, shooting sometimes, but it's amazing. But as you know, every movie has a hiccup.
Absolutely. And kind of like what you were just talking about, the decades of horror and stuff and going back and doing all that. One of the things that I did with The Clock that is something that I would really like to try and bring more attention to is the fact that my film is based on an old-time radio show. I grew up listening to those old-time radio shows, CBS Radio Mystery Theater, The Whisperer, this and that. And there's an old radio show that was called Hickory Dickory Doom that was about this family that bought a clock at a yard sale and brought it home. And it turns out the clock is an actual portal to hell, and the demons are going to use the clock to come to Earth. It has a much darker ending than my movie does, but basically that's the story. And I wanted to do that because I want people to know that instead of seeing Fast and the Furious 27 or all this stuff like that we're doing, there's so many radio shows that would be amazing feature films, and they're untapped. They're all out there. I think that people should really start looking and bringing those to life and using that instead of, doing the old tried and true Nightmare on Elm Street Part 11 or whatever it is,
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that we always, not necessarily always bash on Hollywood, but with their horror movies, they're safe. They are really safe. And I think indie has really filled in that niche of originality for across all genres, quite honestly.
Just look at Terrifier.
Yeah.
I mean, they had, I think for Terrifier 1, they had like a $15,000 budget, and the movie made $1 million. Then they had for Part 2, they had like I think it was a $250,000 budget. The movie made $10 million. So then Part 3, they gave them a $2.5 million budget, and it made $125 million.
Yeah.
And that's with no stars. That's just a standard slasher movie, straight indie all the way. But those guys are so talented and so dedicated, and they found that niche, that Art the Clown. They found this iconic character, and they do it so well. I mean, to me, they should be writing a book. They should have a book out there showing us how to do it.
Oh yeah. And they absolutely. And I think that's what made great horror movies in the 70s and 80s, is because they were indie movies. You took no-name actors that you go back like, oh, Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th. You play that game of who started their movie career in horror, but they were all indie horror. Obviously, huge one, Evil Dead.
Oh yeah. And Jennifer Aniston was in Leprechaun 2, wasn't it? That's how she got her start. Yes, I mean, that's the thing. I think, like you said, horror doesn't need Because people don't go see horror for the actors. They don't go see horror to see the Johnny Depps or the Brad Pitts or anything like that. They go to see it because either they want the blood and guts, they want the thrills and chills, they want to be scared. So you can do that with anybody. So they don't have the situations that most of these studios have now, where they've got to win back a $200 million budget. You can make a horror movie for really cheap, and you don't have to have all the extra stuff. So I think that they're fighting a much easier game.
Oh yeah, and as you said, I think not necessarily people aren't enjoying their craft in Hollywood, but indie feels like more heart and soul in the film process.
Could not agree more.
Yeah, it's amazing. But kind of what made you take that? You're doing shorts all this time. What was it like taking that first step into your first feature film?
Well, technically, my first feature film was actually The Web of Darkness. I'll tell you that, and that was something because we did not want to make. I had no idea how to make a movie when I had Web of Darkness. My plan was I had this story. I wanted to write this story, and I was going to try and sell the script for somebody who knew how to make a movie. But then I got convinced by another group of people that were in Tampa that, hey, we can do this for you. We'll handle everything behind the camera. You just handle everything in front of the camera, talking with the actors, and we'll make this movie together. So I thought, why not? Let's do it. So we got the funding for it. I decided to try and add a name. So I brought in Tom Savini. And that was the hardest thing, because it's like he wouldn't even listen to me or pay attention to me. I kept hammering him. Hey, I got this script. Finally, one day I got an email that just said, send it to me. And he got he gave me his address. So I remember sending it to him, and I waited about, I think it was a week or something like that. And I was at work on one Saturday. I'll never forget this. I got a call from him, and I answered my call, and he goes, is this Rick Danford? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, this is Tom Savini. I just want to let you know that I got your script. I sat down and read it over breakfast. It's fucking great. We got to make this movie. And I will never forget that, because I think I was floating to my desk from that point on.
Yeah.
Like I told you at the beginning or beforehand, everything that could go wrong went wrong with that film. We ended up having to do our own sound, and we didn't know anything about sound, and so many different things. So the movie basically came out like shit. We had a great time doing it, though, but there was so much stress. And when it was finally over, I was left with all this unedited, almost unusable footage. But I was dedicated that I'm like, I just can't leave this sitting here. I've got to finish it. So I spent years finally getting it done, getting an editor that finally made me a decent edit for it, and do the best I could with the footage that I had, because I didn't have the original footage. And it's actually just got picked up by Bayview, and it'll be out for worldwide distribution in the next couple months. So 25 years later, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be drastically different than the clock then that you did.
Oh yeah, we had the mini DV tape, so you were all that stuff. So yeah, it's drastically different. But now, like I said, I think I think the one good thing about that is, to me, that was film school in a bottle. I learned so much of what you had to do, the things that you weren't supposed to do that we did back then that now you don't do, like eliminating shadows. We spent the whole time eliminating shadows. And, you're supposed to utilize shadows. So there's so much that we learned. So even though the movie suffered for it, I think I gained a lot of want to, because I was bit and I knew that that's it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get better at my craft, and I want to get going. And I made a lot of these shorts, and finally got to a point where I really feel like, okay, we got to make that jump. If you want to make money, you got to make features. Yes. And that's what we did. So we started with The Clock, and that's it.
That's awesome. You talk about mini DVs. I am going to, fingers crossed, I'm going to shoot the 80s and 90s decades of horror on actual VHS.
That would be awesome.
Instead of doing the effect afterwards, I want to do it as authentic as I can.
Wow. Good luck with that, but I would love to get some BTS on that.
It's going to be a pain in the butt to edit.
I'm sure.
All of that. But I have the tools to digitize it afterwards. I just want to record it on VHS.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I like it.
All right, Rick. So we are approaching the end of the show here, but let's get some of these. Yeah, I know it goes by fast. It really does. So you said your favorite scary movie is Jaws of all time. What would be your second favorite scary movie?
Believe it or not, my second favorite horror movie is probably got to be Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
I absolutely love that movie, because I think every single time I've seen it, and I see it so many times, I see something new. I'll catch something new or hear something new. But to me, that movie is just so brilliant because it covers all the bases. You've got comedy, you've got the slapstick stuff, you've got true emotion, you've got horror, you've got great effects. I mean, he does it all. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are gods to me. I love that movie.
Yeah, and it got Romero's blessing as a zombie movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and that's I think that speaks a lot more than anything else too, is to have Romero just go, yeah, this is a straight up zombie movie.
Yep. And he ended up putting them in Land of the Dead.
Yep. Just cameos that we would never know it was there, but they're there. Awesome. Okay, Rick, practical or CGI?
Oh, practical, for sure. I mean, CGI, if used to enhance practical, then I think it can be good. But still, I don't think they've gotten to a point yet where CGI is what you go. I mean, I have seen some stuff that CGI is getting that has looked amazing, and I'm sure they're going to be like that eventually one day. But I'm a big practical guy. I grew up in the '80s. That was all practical.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I don't. You have all the CGI blood. You can tell when CGI blood to this day. I don't care how good it is. If you have practical blood, I think it weighs more. Yes, I get it's easier to clean up.
Oh yeah.
Because you have. I think we've all had those. All right, we got one take on this.
Yeah.
And that's nerve-wracking to all hell. Honestly.
Oh yeah, but to me that's part of the fun. Can we do it?
All right, so I know we didn't really get into it, but I know you do a lot of Halloween fan films, right?
Yes. Well, we did one, and I really liked it, and then I was basically forced to do a part 2. And I figured, okay, if we're going to do a part 2, I want to do a part 2 and 3. So I decided to go ahead and do it. We made a trilogy called Halloween Death Walks Among Us. And what I really liked about that is because we basically turned Halloween on its head, where we retold the story, but also we added Jason, we added Chucky, we added Freddy, and we intertwined them into the actual story. So it all made sense. We even put a little throwbacks to the Evil Dead and stuff like that in there as well. So there's a lot of throwbacks, a lot of nods to a lot of our favorite 80s horror movies, but we did it in a way that it all made sense and they were all tied into one story. And we had a lot of fun doing it. That was technically that was supposed to be one of those challenge films. We were supposed to do a 2-week challenge, and then a week or whatever it is before the challenge was supposed to take place, they ended up going out of business or didn't do it, or for whatever reason. So we had a weekend open, and we said, let's make something. And I'm like, well, I've never made a fan film. Let's make a fan film. And why not make a Halloween fan film? And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So my question with all that is, besides Halloween, if Jason Blum was knock on your door and said, Rick, I'm giving you $1 million to make the next entry into a franchise, what would the franchise be?
The next, now a franchise or just a horror movie, like a remake of a horror movie, period?
Or a remake of a horror movie.
Okay, good, because I have an answer for that one. Franchise, okay. I'm not sure about. But to me, one of the movies that I even started writing the script, and I hope one day to pitch it, I would love to make a remake of the movie The Car, which is a 1977 movie. Yeah. And I've always thought about, and I've got this script halfway done. I love it. I really do. And my plan was to finish this script and somehow get it into Josh Brolin's hands to see if he would play the role his father played in the original.
Okay. Interesting. I can definitely see that. Yeah.
I think there's so much stuff you can do, especially in today's society. I don't want to give any of it away because I'm really excited about it. But that's one of those, guilty pleasure movies for me. That was considered a campy movie, but I just loved The Car. Yeah. But if it was to add to an existing franchise, I'd have to go back to Halloween. Yeah. I love that story, that basic story, and I really believe that even though I love Rob Zombie and where his heart's at and everything, I just don't think his couple worked. And what happened with the Blum series, I thought it was a valiant attempt, but it just didn't do it for me. I would love to see go back to the roots and do a hardcore Michael Myers film, because I think there's a lot of untapped stuff there that I think you could really do something special. I really do.
Oh, I completely agree. I'd even, like to see a continuation of, the different anthologies they originally had planned around Halloween with, we had Witch. I'd love to see an entry that is back to that. You could almost say that Halloween Ends was close to that because it really wasn't about Michael Myers, but
yeah, and that bothered me. But but like I said, I appreciate what he tried to do. He tried to take it from a different angle and do something. But it's just, I think that a lot of people really want to see Michael Myers do his thing, and like I said, I just think there's so much untapped potential there to really do it. But it is what it is.
Oh yeah, yes. My pick would be Nightmare on Elm Street. I have a story for it that I'd like to do. I'd like to go psychological horror with it.
I'd love to see that. I mean, a friend of mine named Dominic Smith, who's a close friend of mine, who's a really good horror filmmaker around here. He actually made a fan film of that, which is essentially like a trailer, because he wanted New Line to say, "Hey, look, I got an idea," and do it. But I think New Line's doing one, of my understanding. Well, not New Line, but I think somebody
somebody's doing it. Yeah, they talk about it. It's been talked forever. Who knows at this point in time? We need an actual good one, not the 2010 one that we got.
What 2010 one?
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Let's
talk about it.
Yeah. All right, Rick. So, any advice for people getting into indie horror filmmaking?
I would say if you want to get into the indie horror filmmaking scene, Facebook is a great tool. They've got so many groups out there. I created a group called Tampa Bay Filmmakers that's got 7,000 members right now, and there's always people in there posting of casting calls, crew calls. You could meet people there. Go to the conventions, go to the film festivals so you can network with these people, bring your business cards and everything, because there's a lot of people out there looking to connect that you could either work with. But the main thing is get on set. Whatever it is that you're going to do, whether you're just going to help in PA, even if you're PAing for free or whatever it is, you're on set meeting everybody, cast, crew, everybody, and you're going to make those connections. You're going to have that downtime where you can talk to people about, hey, I've got this idea, I've got this, would you be interested? And you make your connections, but you got to be out there. You got to rub elbows and you got to get involved. But those opportunities are everywhere.
Oh, they really are. And then especially the indie horror community, it is a close-knit family. While we say we're spread across the country, but really everyone knows everyone else.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why indie horror, I think, is so popular, is because it's such, like you just said, it's such a tight-knit community. And the fans, I mean, they'll remember everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely blast. Like I said, I was a PA. Originally, I saw on Split Screen a couple of years ago, and I just haven't stopped since. It's just because I go, you know what? This is great. Hours in the car with the director, with Josh, and now we just make movies together now. So
there you go. That's how it happens.
Exactly. All right, Rick, you ready for your random horror trivia question?
I guess.
All right. Janelle Monáe, I think that's how you say her name, stars in what 2020 horror thriller where her character must escape a southern slave plantation?
What was that last part? A southern what?
Southern slave plantation.
Midsummer?
No, it is Antebellum.
Oh, I've never seen that one. I've heard of that one, though. But I didn't know the actress either.
I don't know the actress either, unfortunately, but I started watching it. I didn't finish it. I usually finish every movie I watch. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I tried to, but I just saw Weapons. That movie blew me away.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, my God. I highly recommend watching that. That movie is brilliant. To me, the way it's put together, the storyline and everything, it's just brilliant. But, I mean, yeah, there's so many good indies. Even Substance with Demi Moore, that's considered an indie. And that was off the chain. So, I mean, I think with indie horror, they just say, like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's go for it. You know, they don't have the studio, saying that, no, you got to do this cookie cutter stuff, and then we'll edit it at the end. They get a chance to really let it go, and they take advantage of that sometimes.
Oh, yeah, and we don't. And indie horror generally doesn't have the happy endings that mainstream horror has now.
Exactly, which some people don't like, but at the end of the day, I think it's refreshing. I really do. Everything doesn't have a happy ending.
Shit happens.
Shit happens.
All right, Rick, before we go, give us all your pluggables. Where can people find you, follow, and everything about Indie Horror Junkie?
Well, the main place is going to be IndieHorrorJunkie.com. That place will direct you to the podcast, direct you to our films, the magazine. You can buy everything from there. So definitely IndieHorrorJunkie.com. Go there. Also on YouTube, we're at Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. Definitely go there. Check it out. Every Wednesday we go live. Yeah, basically, like I said, if I could say anyone, IndieHorrorJunkie.com, that'll take you everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rick, for coming. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's been a long time coming. And for anyone new here that's watching this now or in the future, make sure to follow us on all social media at Pod Out at Night. We have new stuff coming out. We have Decades of Horror we're working on. I'm really excited for that. Our mainstream podcast is back now on Thursdays every night at 9 p.m. Central. New release. We're doing this. Tomorrow's episode we're starting the Friday the 13th franchise and reviewing it. Finally. Yeah.
Nice.
155 of that show is coming out. And anyone, and this includes you, Rick, as well. I have a new show idea that I'm trying to build here. It's because I asked the question, what's the most underrated horror movie you can think of? I want to have people come on and discuss their underrated horror movie. We'll watch it and we'll review it and talk about it and why it's so.
That'd be cool.
Bring it to the spotlight.
Sounds great to me.
Awesome.
Love
it. I'll send you the link and we can get that going. I love that new show format I want to do. And awesome. Thank you very much, Rick, for coming on. We'll see you next time. Don't get lost in the void. Good night.
Take care, guys.